need to tell that Britishers followed the policy of division rules because it is known among all the citizens and all the peoples which are living in this world, lest they may not be deprived of the knowledge. So I will begin now with the very starting points. Maybe it has not been ascertained, or it has not been discussed, or it has not been analyzed in a such a way ever before, but it is only the correct way to discuss such a vast problems which is prevailing such bad surroundings. What is a reservation? I will not begin with this question first. We all know that British follows a policy of divide and rule. And what is this reservation doing? Same. But here, the word divide has been amended and written as reserved, reserve and rule, which means same as divide and rules. And whether you look it in a social, political, or a philosophical way, in three ways you can scout it. And as much as you like, you can analyze it and study it deeply as you can. But you would come to the same conclusion that reservation is not good for our motherland. When the motherland is threatened by the futile war, that the only solution to prevent that is that we have to solve all the internal problems and focus on the external aggression. But how can it happen when we are so much better in internal problems? There are so many internal affairs, corruptions, reservations. But in this context, I will study only about reservation, or we all will discuss about reservation, not only I. Reservation, although, but I will still recall because some of the persons may like to know as they have not acknowledged before. Reservations was imposed in 1950 by the B.R. Ambedkar, or Bhimrao Ambedkar in a full sense. There were two conflicts between Gandhi and Ambedkar. Gandhi was, you all know that Gandhi supported the Quit India movement, Satyagraha, civil disobedience, and whatever you say that. But it was just a farce. But in this context, particular context, I think that Gandhi was right. That if we grant reservations to promote them and to uplift them, then that would create a division of them and the other society. And however, the discrimination towards them will be reduced due to harsh laws, but you cannot change the thinking by the armed forces and the laws. Thinking can be countered only by thinking. Whenever a society is threatened by an ideal, then that ideal has to be demolished, not the measures has to be taken to promote the victims which are being suffered or which are suffering because of the consequences of the titles. But India did not think about it. For example, let's cite the example of Nazism. When Hitler was in power, then Nazism, he devised a Nazism or Nazi Bible, which was a political structures of great ideas and how society should be managed. But how they will be able to conquer or counteract the principles of Nazism? It is not possible that you put your all armed forces and money and machines and whatever you guns, barrels, etc. to kill all the Nazi peoples, because it would only create a ruckus. It would instill a feeling among all the peoples which are living in this world that we are as same as they are. Because what is Nazism? Nazi peoples want to kill people and concentrate them in ghettos and stereotypical society. And what you are doing? You're doing the same to end it. And that would create a bad effect and bad side of society. In Main Camp, which is an autobiography of Hitler, I would like to tell, he has himself written that it is an observed fact, or it is absurd to counteract the principle by the armed forces. So reservation cannot be countered by the armed forces. And to avoid problems, whether it has erupted in India or anywhere, there are different views of different people. So to the reservation, some did that Only the rich among the rich get it. Some say that it is not needed anymore. Some say that there should be equality. Some say this it is a source of conflict. Some say poor people don't get it and it should be based on income. And some say seats should be given on merit. And some skeptical pieces say people should work hard. Here we have provided you a percent of delegates who opposed reservation with the social group 2016s. As you can see, I don't need to recall it because you have sight. But if you analyze all the views and all the reasons which are given by the different peoples on reservations, you will see that while the two or three are correct and others are wrong, pretty wrong. For examples, the first one, while they are rich, well, that is not purely correct because it's partially correct. The one I found most appropriate is that there should be inequality, and second, source of conflict, and third, poor people don't get it and it should be based on income, and fourth, people should be given on merit. These 4 points base, and if these 4 points are kept in the mind of each and every individual which is living in India, then there would be no situation that would demand that reservations should be provided. But people are very lazy. Sometimes I ask a question. Let's consider a situation you're dwelled up with a problem and you want to end it, and some other community is sitting beside it and saying that they also want to expand their roots in problem. What would you say? What would be your reaction? You would be strangled to the death. And that is what happening in India. While we are talking of reservation, while we are talking to end it, while we are talking to annihilate its existence 95% in society, some communities or only one community from the early time which has ingrained the social root of annihilation in it is demanding that it is their right to have 20% reservation. I mean, how could you say that it is the right to reservation? Right to property, right to life. These are the rights and inalienable rights. These cannot be violated by any law and any constitution in any nation and any individual. The nation must safeguard that. But how could you say that an antisocial element is your right and you demand that you should also have a share in it? I mean, you are so mean. Let's continue. So I will tell what happened. When reservation was provided, then were certain eruption and chaos in 2008. The Islamic veterans saw that all are getting reservations, but it was just limited to the Dalit people which are living in the Hinduism. It was not expand to the Christians and Muslims because these religions also have low caste and low categories under them. But as you see, they are not native people of India. So we have already they are already indebted to us that we have provided them shelter, we have claimed them as the sons of our own land. And instead of repenting it, and instead of being thankfulness, they are demanding that their rights are violated. And it is a very controversial issue that now their demand should be met or not. And if the demand is met, then there will be more chaos in this country, of course. There will be a party politics and very religious intolerance. I will tell you about a brief discussion that how Supreme Court takes a decision on the reservation. On May 2008, Muhammadur Rahman panel set up to study the backwardness of Muslim. On October 21, 2013, panel recommends 8% to 10% reservation in education jobs. June 25, 2014, Cabinet approves 16% reservation for Marathas, 5% Muslim. Still, they are not satisfied. July 9, Governor approves ordinance to grant quota. July 24, Government issues Resolution 8 polls. November 14, Bombay High Court says resolution which allows quota for Muslim in education. And December 23, the final ordinance granting quotas to Muslim lenses. If you look from very early years, you will see that these Muslims have always been a root cause of chaos in India, and whenever a revolution, or a rebellion erupt against the government, they are the most active people in it. But still, we ignore their act. We saw it as their poverty backwardness. But I ask a question, and you can now answer it. That only these religions have backwardness? Why don't we have? Or are born, or are humans? Why don't they have backwardness? Why don't they have minds that they can be brainwashed? Well, the answer is hidden in their religious preaching itself. The simple answer is that their religion speaks up with a 95% evil and 5% with a showing nobility. But still, we have kindness and patience for them, which should not be inhibited by us. It's time to annihilate these so that reservations can be ended. But I think that I'm going too far because in this context, uh, I have to talk about reservations, not these Muslim religions. But it was a little skeptical to talk about. And it is necessary and a must to talk about them because they play a major crucial roles in affecting the Indian economy and Indian democracy. In whatever nation you take, if Muslims are less in number, then it would progress. And if Muslims are large in number, then it would certainly go down. Or if Muslims are given more privileges than the majority community, then the fall of the nation is certain. But what is now happening is that in shelter humanity and secularism, we don't seem to realize that. Well, every social problem has many causes. So reservation is not just one political cause. Some people say that if we end reservation now, that there would be more chaos and situations. The manual scavengers would never get their right. They would be as backward as they were in 1950. Okay, we are not ending reservation. We do not want to even. But we are giving them reservations, we are providing them free educations, we are giving them special quotas, we are giving them high knowledge, free books, free facilities, and many assets. But what are they giving us in return? Just corruption. Yes, let's consider an example of a child. A child from SCST is studying in your class. You got 95% and he got 90%. But he got admission in college. Then what would be your reaction? Would not you feel disheartened? That what was the problem in my effort? Would I still be able to pursue my studies? And that is the problem nowadays. Even the talented children are facing struggles because of the provisions of reservations. India is the only country in this world to be backward, and not because it is not planned or it the people living in it are not or do not possess intellectual minds. They possess, they are intelligent, but they do not think in creativity. They are not creative. They do not have common sense. If you put an American on the other side and an Indian on one side, you would see or soon see that an American can execute the same instructions more clearly, more precisely, and more intelligently and elegantly than an Indian on the same side. Although the same information has to be provided to them and the same law has to be executed by them, no provision, no other provisions is allowed at all. And so, Indians cannot do it. I ask a question that when we are providing reservation till 12th and when they have got admission in college, then provide books to them, provide free education to them. It is fine. But child who could not budge, or a child who could not study till 12th, who did not try to study more deeply, and who did not try to concentrate on his studies, then what in the hell and what in the world would force him to pursue the education just as he entered the college? So, what is the need to give special privileges to them? You have given them enough till 12th. passing them even if they have low marks in general and categorizing them in distinction and merit. But if till 12th a child could not study and child could not concentrate in studies, child could not get result is quick, he could not get distinction, then what the hell is his life? He deserves to be dominated. He deserves to be suppressed because he had not put his effort, and when effort is was not put, then the actions which try to promote it and which try to uplift them only create a ruckus in society. It promotes corruption. It creates a feeling among the people that what is the need to study? They feel being disheartened, they feel daunted, they feel depressed. A feeling of misery is overcoming the emotions nowadays. I have seen so many faces, so many dumb faces, even after scoring 98% in NEET exam. But still, they are not getting. Why? That's the answer is reservation. You Indians are worried that why other Indians are going to other nations, but still you're not realizing that why are they going. And even if you're realizing, you're not taking any steps. Just playing a foolish part in your life. Debating, debating, debating. But what it is creating is time pass. You open a TV and watch a debate on reservation. Only one thing will revolve in your mind. Some say reservation is good, some say reservation is bad. The conclusion is still not left, is still pending. And as you search on the TV, two thoughts prevail in your mind. That reservation is necessary also and not necessary also. And as you're living in your life, enjoying in your life, you do not care about it. But I tell you that if you do not care about the political chaos in your country and if you are indulged in politics, then one of your names are in because once a great philosopher said that the destiny of a country is determined by the political, social, and cultural involvement of all the people which are living it. All the people, every individual has to involve in it. If it's, if it is interested, not then even to. Because, for example, you have to study all the subjects till 10th, but it is not necessary or it is not in your destiny or it may not be compulsory or it may not be in your fate that you like all subjects or you are overcome or you can overcome all the difficulties which comes. For example, some may like SST, some may like science, some may like Hindi, some may like English. There are different choices, but you have to study all the subjects. So, what will you do if you don't like? Leave the matter and see your marks disintegrating to a low down level or low extent? No. You would put up all your effort to make your interest in the subjects we don't learn. And that is what which happens in an Indian democracy and a nation. Even if you don't like this, you have to pursue your interest in it. And if you do not, then wait, wait, and your nation will be disintegrated into bits of bloody. Reservation is very ruckus. Reservation, I don't need to tell it over and over again. Well, reservation was first granted to SC and ST, that the Mandal Commission, headed by the OP Mandal or PP Mandal, I don't know till date. Mandal Commission tell a report that other podcasts should also be provided. The people were in danger. The people were bewildered. How can reservation be extended but their lives are already shattered? Okay, when reservation is already provided to just two communities and when third community is also added to this, then what would be their life? Their life would become like a hell. And after that, every Indian wants to go to USA. Some may want to stay here, but they also face difficulty. They are also in predicament. And when we see other nations and other foreign countries rising up with development, pacing towards developments, becomes world's greatest economy, and our at 10th, then we say that it was pretty mean of Indians to go there. Well, how could you say that? When you are not providing opportunities, then what would they do? They are also to sustain life, they are also human. They also care about their personal ethics first. It is true that they have nationalism, but one cannot sold off his soul with a nation is destined to fall. So they had to care about their personal ethics and personal values and personal comfort. And so they go there, and these companies and these foreign nations know that Indians have very clever mind and they are very great strategists. And they put their minds into their benevolence, into their development and their potential. And that results in a great outcome. Just as technology optimizes the resources which we use, creates the maximum output, and so that when we put the minds of Indians into an work, then it creates the best output ever created. See anywhere in this world and name anything which is deprived of the contribution of India. It is purely enough, or it's even impossible to say that. But I'm not going into admiration of Indians. Here the topic is reservation and it will still be reservations. Because in my video the topic does not change at all. Huh? A little will change in an art of drop, but not. So, what I was saying, there are certain reasons also that we need to end reservations. I've tell about the social problem and why it is a communal disease and a malady for all of the Indians. But there is a certain restrictions too. India often compares with its neighboring neighbors and nearby neighbor, especially with China, Bangladesh, and Bhutan. These three countries, whatever it does, is taken by India. For example, if China is facing towards clothes market, then India also tries to do it. If Bangladesh is expanding in fishery market, then India also likes to do that. So, um, in the year 2018, the month of approximately May. So in May, Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, declared that from now on there will be no reservation for the backward segment of the society. It was a very brave part because of two reasons. Bangladesh is a very small country, but still comprising of vast varieties of people living there, and especially there are Muslims there who knows how to revolt. And you have watched that when Islamic revolts, and then their revolution and rebellion is no less than a terrorist attack. But still she does that even after being a woman. And this is a reflection of the braveness and courage of a woman. What a woman can do, you cannot do. It is a certain example, a real crystal example of it. No Indian can dare to end reservation just now. No one has guts to do it. So, if you really admire and are being inspired by the Bangladesh, then follow this also. Why are you so urging back on it? If you want to pursue a tradition, then follow it purely. Why being in a middle path? The middle path is very dangerous and often creates a bad effect on society. People think that you are not with us, and some people think you are against us, and some people think you are with us. So there is a ruckus and chaos. So you should follow, if you follow a tradition, clearly, purely, as a crystal. Another reason that we need to have reservation is that whenever we try to amend a short provision of reservation, then there is a chaos and a rebellion by the certain communities. For example, um, at the month of June, yes, In the month of June, Supreme Court said that from now on, the one provision I would first like to tell that one provision that in Atrocities Act it was written that whoever is being accused by SCST that he is being tortured, punished, or teased by a person, then he is shoved into a cellar without being investigated. But it was against constitution. It was not constitutional. And so Supreme Court said that from now on this will not happen. First there will be investigation and then the person will be hauled to the police, or if his innocence proved then the guilty SC will be sentenced. So it was nothing like that we are ending reservation. But you see how much rebellion and how much violence we felt in the nation. Even anti-national slogans were being chanted. This is the blindness and this is the true aspect of them and true feelings that possess in their mind for our nation. So why are we waiting for them? Why are we caring for them? Any sensible persons or intelligent persons or a person who has common sense at least would tell or would admit the fact that having a problem occasionally every year for a very long time is not good. So why not end reservation and have the biggest revolution we have ever had just once, and then everything clear as a crystal, the peace and love exist everywhere. It is more good and far sighted than having the problems coming day by day by amending each and every provision of it by such a cold trial and in a very slow process. Because firstly, it creates that there is no more reservation can be ended for you. Because when you are there's many provisions of reservation, and when you amend one provision, then there are many left. So, and when one provision is amended, then there is chaos and rebellion, and to pacify the rebellion, then again that provision is being added for a few more days, and then that has to be executed again. Again and again, this execution goes on and pacifying goes on, and so the problems come every year and every month even. So why not end reservation just now and have a biggest problems and settle everything for once? This is the most sensible thing I can see now. But still we humans are not accepting it. We are seeing that it would offend SCST. Well, if you even if you amend one provision, then it offends SCST. So why not offend them so much that they don't have that they cannot be offended anymore? It is rather sensible, it is rather good. When the political experts which are sitting at the throne of India does not seem to think so. And will never think so because they are in the greed of money, they are in the greed of political power, which has seemed to clung to the dust in a very period. Many people describe reservation as being stated by the B.R. Ambedkar, but in actual sense, you cannot blame that person for it, at least for it, because you are blaming him, you are tarnishing his character by this anti-social element, which he has never devised. May every protest you take in favor of reservation or against reservation, the photo of B.R. Ambedkar cannot be ignored. He is present whenever a protest is being held or is being followed or is being executed by a group of protesters, whether they are anti-nationalist or nationalist, because they want to be in the shelter of a nationalist hero, so that Indian media cannot be a Appaval way. But I will tell you one fact that B.R. Ambedkar did not say that we want to extend reservation for such a long time at least. He has suggested, but only for 30 years. Yeah, and how many years have passed? 70 years. And maybe I think that if something is not yet now, that reservation may exist till eternity, and a time would come that India will be danced so much that there would be no situation that would create chaos. And that time, you would not have time to argue that we want reservation or not, because India will be destroyed completely and India will be suffering from hyperinflation. Mark my words, hyperinflation. In fact, B.R. Ambedkar said about reservation that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said that you cannot build anything on the basis of a caste. You can build a nation on the basis of morality. You can build a nation on the basis of nationalism, socialism, liberty, and freedom to exercise of the right of even poor. But still, people tarnish his image. People still take shelter of his image to express their views, which holds no importance, which holds no base, and carries image recklessly. And this rends my heart and rends the heart of every true Indian. But we are not going into the feelings anymore. The another reason that we want to end reservation or reservation should not be in existence, at least in India, or caste-based reservation not be in existence, is that India is the only country where caste-based reservation exists. No country has this. Some countries even don't have reservation, or the great developed countries which even have this on the basis of economy, and it is far more sensible because eventually, according to economists or even Indian experts, that at certain times and at certain lapse of period, one one caste is vulnerable and one caste is not. These change time to time, so you cannot base it on the caste. You can base it on economy, and it is far more sensible because because when you're providing reservation and special privileges, then they would get uplifted and they will be uplifted, but their sons would be as rich because they would be rich, as the parents have already have attained a successful life. But still you are granting special privileges to them. Meaning you are opposing the merit of people, you are making fun of it. So my opinion or every true Indian opinion is that you should have a reservation on the basis of economy, not on the basis of caste. And this principle is so much widely publicized, but still the people sitting at the throne of the government don't want to relinquish their throne and purge themselves to work for this principle. They are contented in their own life, bribery, corruption. And this is what does not transform India. But this is not the only point left. There is still more one point left. Let's consider an example that government provide you an opportunity. Then what is opportunity? Opportunity, according to preamble or constitution, everyone must attain equal opportunity, but it's not guaranteed in India. First, it will be granted to SC, then it will be granted to ST, then it will be granted to OBC, and finally general. I will narrate a story, and you will find it quite interesting too. There was a president, Indian president, assumed that though there was an Indian president, he lived in a very great palace, and every morning he looked out of his window. So one day he saw out of his window that there was dust lying around, and an old poor man was there. Old poor man was there, covered in torn clothes, old clothes, and he was shivering with the cold. So the president called his guards and said that Please give me a blanket so that the poor fellow may not die of cold. So the servants replied that if we gave to them, if we gave to him, then other beggars and other poor people would also come and demand that. So a list has to be made. So President elegantly agreed to it and handed the financial status of this to his manager. The manager prepared a file and presented it to the president next day. So president asked, why did the poor fellow did not get the blanket next day? So he said that the list has been made, only your sign is needed to order the blankets. He hurriedly signed off and said that tomorrow morning the poor fellow should get a blanket. But still, on the third day, the poor fellow was shivering in cold, and the situation looked much worse. So President was flabbergasted. Did why hadn't you given a blanket? To this, manager replied that blankets had been ordered and it is being distributed. And on last day, he saw that poor fellow had died. He was very painful, he was very somberful. He felt guilty for it. That even after being president, before his eyes, a poor man had died. Then what can he do for a nation where millions of poor people are thriving? So he asked his managers and scolded him. His manager told that they had divided it, but on the basis of a caste, he was a he belonged to a upper category of general. So we first distributed blankets to ST, then to SC, and then to OBC, and then to lower categories. And when finally we came to him, all the blankets were distributed and nothing was left. Then we realized that how dramatic can be experience of reservation. This story has not even in Indian home, but it is a true aspect that how reservation creates this and why reservation has to be ended. Supreme Court is considered as the highest lawmaking body, but still the OBCs are so resentful to it. Supreme Court said that we are giving you reservation, we are paying heed to every demand of you, but just listen to one demand of us. And they, not even one, they shook their rebellion to protest marches, shouted anti-slogans. This is the real character of it. How can you say that these are nationalist men? I call them terrorists. Really, reservation has to be ended before everything happening to us. And reservation is, I don't want reservation to be ended only because of all this. There is some more reasons. I will recall again Sheikh Hasina's determination to make Bangladesh a willpower and a one country in the world, who has recently ended reservation strangely enough. She said no more quotas and reservation for government jobs or any segment of society for disadvantaged segments like ethnic minorities and persons with disabilities. Special provisions would be made. Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at the Parliament of Bangladesh at Dhaka. And when this news followed, the Indian must have known the arteries and bloods of the Islamic religions which are residing there. But still, Sheikh Hasina has guts to do this act. So why cannot we? We Indians say that we are lions and we are most bravest person on this earth. Then why not we can take decision? Why don't we have power? Where does this difference go? Where? In political aspect, our braveness and our courage goes into a pit of darkness and embrace it lovingly to gain political power, to gain votes. The main reason that reservation is not ended is not political corruption. It is far more than that. And you must have realized by now that what I'm talking about. The leader of our nations and the ministers are far more concerned than gain power, to gain power, than to solve the real conflicts of people. And this has been happening since 65 years. And when, after 65 years, came a real power, came a truly nationalist party, then too it was forced to follow because of the corrupt officials of that party. Even BJP could not do that. They even said that they will promote reservation to gain political votes. I felt that whenever a party or any person or any individual goes to the brink of sea of politics, his mind changes and his nationalism goes down to such a low extent that it can never be revived again. It is almost impossible and null and void. I want to ask a question that SC took a part of it. So, does it deserve respect or not? Every nation would say that every decision of a judiciary has to be respected. But still, you are not respecting it is nonsense. And it is not only in the reservation case, any other case you take, you never follow it. If it is in favor, you follow it, and if it is against you, you budge away from it. And that is why even government could not suppress it. Even government is unable to feed the homeless, to feed the poor in true sense. Now, we have described about the history of reservation, we have described about the causes of reservation and why reservation has to be ended, and some concessions and some polls on it. Now, what is left more now? I think that I should end this video right now, but still one thing is left. One thing or two things. One thing I will say that what is written in Constitution, what reservation has been provided. The reason I will tell you now. It is written that after 1950, some communities remain backward and underprivileged, and so they had to be uplifted to bring it to have their place in the national mainstream, and so to uplift them in order to give them their rightful place, they were granted special privileges, and affirmative action of reservation was introduced because they were not compatible with the other educated people which we are having. Okay, it was fine. But if an individual never heeds to the pleas and request of government and leaders that he should work hard and he or she should work hard, then how can any special privilege pursue to do so? Moreover, it would make him corrupt, and it would instead of feeling that whether he study or not, it does not matter. He would be uplifted and he would be granted special privileges. And especially I feel that reservation has a bad effect in the defense aspect, because defense of a nation cannot be altered, cannot be compromised with the politics, with the people are on the brink of extinction. And if it is compromised, then that nation may be attacked by any foreign or colonial power. Just like Britishers that attacked the India in 1798. What is more now left to say now? No video or no suggestion can be described based on no philosopher can claim that he has precised the situation or a problem of any nation best if it does not provide a solution to this problem. And so, time has come to discuss the solutions. The first obvious solution which has been presented by many of you, if you are intelligent or interested in politics and history, is that reservation on basis of caste has to be ended, and it has to be endured on the basis of economy. It's a pretty hard, but remember, the hardest choice requires the strongest will. And whenever this feeling is instilled in people, you would not hesitate to take any hard step. You would be regular in it. You would feel that it is your right to take harsh steps when you have to safeguard the dignity of a nation and when you have to safeguard and secure the situations and being farsighted about the future of a nation. And finally, the second provision is that SC, ST, and OBC has not been granted reservation after 12th. Yes, they have to be provided books and knowledge and education, free education, but they should not be given any extra privileges because I feel that India is now being converted into same as that France was in the regimes of French revolutions on the old regime. Old regime refers to the France before 1798. There were three states, clergy, nobility, and commoners, of course. So commoners are generals, clergy is SC, and nobility is ST. And so we cannot promote it because we have always opposed against it. And so time has come to stand unified and protest against the anti-national and anti-social elements which is being present in our mind too. Our mind is being polluted and brainwashed with this anti-social element of reservation, and now the time has come so that we purify our soul and we cleanse our mind so that from a period to this time which we are not following it and the religious beliefs which are being converted into a weapon so that a common people can be a slave of it. Finally, the third solution to the reservation can be that to avoid mass conflict when can reservation is that proper arms are applied. People are not allowed to come out of their house. They have to stand still where they are. And Section 144 should be executed, of course. And so the situation will be pretty maintained. And it will not be against humanity. Don't be afraid of it. Because if you are protecting humanity and if you are doing something good for the humanity, then it is good to kill some of the persons and to give them to the Lord of Dead, Hades. Hades will be pleased with that the evil souls and the evil minds have gone to his abode. And finally, when the reservation has been discussed fully, you may be thinking that what are these documents which are being displayed on your mobile, computer, or whatever you're using now to watch this video? Well, these are just straight examples or clear crystal examples of reservation I've told before. See this document. Here it is safely written and securely written that all the universities will grant special privileges to students of SC and ST. Main problem I felt is as a student is that when you go to DU after passing 12th with a distinction marks means 93% and more, then you will see that 22.5% seats are reserved for OBC, 22 and 25% are reserved for SC and ST. And how much seats are there approximately in a single DU college or a single branch of DU college? 1200. So 700 seats are already occupied and only 500 are left for generals, and the people who have scored above 93 are mass in numbers. Only some people who have scored 99% and 98.5% manage to keep their heads above the water. And it is not quite fair to, or it is not quite fairly authentic to have the people who have no education and who have no mind to endure into DU. And so with this, I end this video, and again I will recall that if we did not end reservation, then India would soon suffer from hyperinflation. And I'm not saying that I'm against SC, ST and OBCs or Islam. I support OVC, and we and all support the backward communities, and we will always stand with them in facing the problems and prevent them from becoming or going into the state of manual scavenging again. But we do not support reservation, which creates a division of them and society. And in this context, Gandhi was right that don't reserve and rule because it is seen as divide and rule. And when you do divide and rule, the true sons of these nations cannot sustain their swords on same land together. And the clash between two sons always result in the invitation of a colonial power to attack your nation and motherland and establish a rule on it just as Britishers had on our nation. And with this, a salute to all the people who are watching this video and viewing it. Thank you. And we will come again with you and to you with some most important facts of this life. And please tell us in the comment box or in the comment section that what is the most controversial topic which you would like to be discussed by us. Would very much like to read about your views and discuss about them in more detail than it has been now. And believe me that this video is not only about reservation, it was actually mainly about that how you should secure a nation of a problem. This was not just that I'm talking about reservation causes, because you may have seen that I was only not limited to it. I was going and expanding more and more in the feelings too. And in next video, I will tell you about more other. For now, bye bye. I'm News.